So there's been a lot of back and forth, but really what happened was Congress passed a law, the president signed it, and so now the Supreme Court is in this position where they're being asked to maybe extend the deadline from January 19th, or as the DOJ asked them to let it go through to January 19th and see what happens if ByteDance will divest.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait for a ruling on that, which presumably could come any time in the next 9 days, since that's the deadline we're up against here. Sarah, it does seem, though, that this really does just come down to the question of ownership specifically, that it doesn't necessarily matter what is being propagated or posted on TikTok or by who. It only matters where ultimately the ownership lies. Is that a correct way of reading this? And that's the out that Congress gave TikTok, right? Just change the ownership, make sure that it doesn't lead back to China.
Well, what was really interesting was I listened to the oral arguments this morning. They went on from 10 a.m. to 12:30, so right before this time. And it was very interesting to hear the 9 justices talk with the solicitors about these questions. And so they kept trying to separate the content free speech concerns from the ownership concerns. But there is a chicken and egg issue here where you have a corporate parent that is related to a nation state that has control over the algorithms that implicate content. There was discussion, though, about how in the law, it doesn't seem to, and Congress doesn't seem to be concerned about the dance videos, the cat videos, just so long as the ownership is by a different type of entity. So the justices, they picked apart the different arguments, asking hypotheticals. What if this statute didn't have anything to do with speech? What if it was just ownership? And they did address questions of what level of scrutiny to apply by looking at the First Amendment questions. Is it strict scrutiny? Is it intermediate scrutiny? So what's going to be interesting is to see how they decide their place in the separation of powers. So they've been asked to come in and even be between the future president, who will be installed January 20th. And like the reporter before me said, he did file an amicus brief in this case asking for a stay, saying that the deadline is a bit arbitrary and that it happens to be right before the change of administration. And so there could be some wiggle room there to say, and the statute includes a 90-day extension for certain circumstances. So there are some reasons that the court might say, we don't want to make an emergency decision here. We'll let things sort out by giving an extension of time.
So that answers my next question, which is what's more likely, an extension on this deadline or an imminent ruling? The court's going to need to take some more time, right? They have to question DOJ officials. What are you going to be watching in the days ahead? Right.
Well, they did ask questions about, can the president not enforce the law? And so the president is the one who enforces the deadline. But if it is law, TikTok and its partners, so they were saying all the cloud providers and contracted partners, if the law is in effect January 19th, they can't provide the services that they currently are. So you would see a blackout on the app. And there was discussion about analogs to broadcast TV and communications law. We've seen blackouts for sports and different contracting. So it's not unprecedented that there could be a blackout. It would be it would make 170 million people confused, but this is where we are.